Anna now with another look at the papers.
Hello there, you're watching the press preview, a first look at what is on the front pages. In the next half hour then, we will see what's making the headlines with the journalist and author, Jenny Kleeman, and the Chief Executive of Conservative Home, Mark Wallace. Welcome to both of you. So, as ever, let's check out the front pages to start with. And the Telegraph says Meghan Markle's father is ready to testify against her over a claim that a tabloid newspaper unlawfully published one of her private letters to him. The Sun shows the first picture of Meghan Markle since she left to get to Canada with the headline, "I'm Meghan my escape." And Markle versus Markle is the headline for the Daily Mail. Front page of the Times reads Johnson to take a lead in the fight against crime gangs as the Prime Minister promises a new task force. The Guardian says Britain failed to pass on the details of 75,000 convictions of foreign criminals to their home countries on their front page. Financial Times suggesting the British, French and German governments may soon follow the US in abandoning the 2015 nuclear peace agreement with Iran. Big Ben must bong for Brexit, declares the Daily Express. British Nature set to pay the price for HS2. That's the lead for the Eye, as more than 1,000 woodlands are under threat. The Mirror calls for a ban on trophy hunting, saying that top stars are backing the paper's campaign. The Metro reports that Love Island contestant Ollie Williams has quit the show amid allegations that he enjoyed big game trophy hunting, though he says it's because he wants to get back together with his ex-girlfriend. And the Daily Star warns of more floods as Storm Brendan brings rain and destruction. Well, we're joined tonight, as you can see, by Jenny Kleeman and Mark Wallace. Welcome to you. The Duchess of Sussex still making the front pages, as we can see.
Indeed, it rumbles on and on and on, this story. But it's before you get into the question of what side you're on or what team you might sign up to, I just don't think they could be managing this worse in PR terms. I don't know who's meant to be doing the PR for this. Obviously, this story originally came out not at a time of their choosing, but they were given due, frankly, generous notice that it was going to be reported. And they seem to be stumbling from kind of PR fiasco to PR fiasco as a pretty good guide if you're going to be telling other people what to do in terms of their personal behaviour and carbon emissions. Don't hang around loads of different planes, generally. But
is that the calamity for you here? The fact that the Duchess of Sussex is seen boarding a seaplane, it seems, doesn't it, off Vancouver Island?
It's not a calamity, but it's one latest little bit in what's been a pretty failed PR enterprise, as far as I can see, in the last week. And a lot of people, I think, certainly I felt quite protective, actually, for quite a long time of the Sussexes. I felt they did get quite a raw deal overall in terms of how they were covered. I could understand why they were protective of themselves and of each other, particularly given, obviously, Harry's personal background and his experience in his childhood. But I think the last week has tried the patience of an awful lot of people. It's made an awful lot of people, left a lot of people feeling a little bit aghast about how this is all being handled. And that I think has been a bit of a fiasco.
I do think, just when we thought we could stop talking about Brexit, we now have another polarising binary issue, Megxit, on which, and it is officially now called Megxit. You'll see it's not just on the Sun, it's everywhere. It's got a name, it's a phenomenon. Pick a side, because this is going to be on the front pages for weeks and months to come. I have to say, I don't feel this animosity towards them. I do think it hasn't been handled well, but I salute their courage in saying that they want to separate from what many might see as a privileged life of taking taxpayers' money. And yes, they haven't worked out quite how they're going to survive without it, but the intention is there. I think it's unfortunate that she's being photographed taking private planes or seaplanes, given what they've said about their concern over the environment. But come on, she's not Greta Thunberg. The way that this is all being kind of played out as if they're tub-thumping people who are trying to get everybody feeling really, really ashamed, it isn't quite that. I feel
that speaks of wanting a celebrity lifestyle, though, isn't it? Really,
she's on a seaplane in Canada. That is how you get about from different. Elton John's private jet is another matter. She was a celeb before she married him. That's the other thing. She didn't marry him for his fame and status in itself, because she had fame and status. When I first heard the news about the plans for Megxit, I was thinking good on them. But yeah, it's divided families. My sister and I had a heated debate about this. She doesn't agree. But what is amazing for me is the extent to which this is rumbling on, and in many ways confirming the reasons why they have wanted to disengage in the first place. I would find it very difficult. Okay, it's not so much the case for her, but certainly for Harry. I feel for him. I wouldn't necessarily want my job to be predetermined before I was born. I can understand that it sits uneasily with him, and actually, yeah, he's the person who's caught in the middle of all of this. I really feel for him.
Has your argument with your sister precipitated Jexit? Is that you're officially off?
There will be no Jexit from my sister, but I mean, who knows?
Yes, it continues inside, I'm afraid, if you've had enough of this one. Harry and Meghan renounce claim to security around the globe. Already the Canadian Prime Minister's had to talk about who pays for where they might be.
Well, haven't they offered to pay for a bit of it?
But I think there's obviously some concern in Canada that they'll be picking up a security bill. As it happens, I think there are different things going on here. One thing is, yes, you can formally leave your position and your function, your responsibilities, and some of the civil list payments and that kind of thing. I don't think you can completely leave your obligations to the rest of the royal family, or indeed to the monarchy as an institution. And that's where I feel a bit uncomfortable about the prospect of them kind of allegedly hawking, inside the life of documentaries like the Windsors are Kardashians, which they're not.
Fergie's done it.
Yeah, exactly. Quod erat demonstrandum, as Jacob Rees-Mogg would say. But the question about security, actually, I'm not so bothered about the idea that they should. Frankly, of course, they should retain their right to security. The fact is that
if anything happened to them,
if God forbid you or I was on a hit list for ISIS, then we would take the view that it's actually a public responsibility of the police to protect you from that threat, and that applies to ex-prime ministers, ex-defence secretaries, and it should carry on. They shouldn't have to give that up.
My eye was caught to the bottom.
There's some great details. Yeah, I mean, it's a thing.
Keep calm and cut the cord.
I know. Keep calm and Megxit, and it's like, oh my God.
Get Megxit done.
This is now officially. Oh, please don't. There's now officially. If there's anything with keep calm on, it's just the amalgam. The idea that people would spend £14.96 on one of these T-shirts and wear it, but apparently they are, because
ironically, you're the least calm I've ever seen you about the keep calm T-shirts.
You can get a Megxit-themed mobile phone and iPad holder. Who would buy this stuff? I
don't know. I know what you're getting for your birthday. Congrats.
Yes, totally. That's exactly what I want. But there you go. It is a phenomenon. It is a thing. It's not going away, even on a day like today when there wasn't.
The thing is, it's mid-January. We're not yet talking about Brexit in 2.5 weeks' time, are we? And one more. Shall we do page 6 and 7 of the Express as well? There we go. They'll soldier on.
Yeah, well, this is part of what I was saying, is that this does have a knock-on effect in the royals have a certain amount of work and responsibilities to do. If one of the kind of frontline, top-rank, younger royals opt not to do that.
And bear in mind, Prince Charles, when he takes the throne, will be enthusiastic but not young, won't he? So.
Indeed. I always remember a few years ago, I got invited to speak. This is super exciting. I was invited to speak at a debate for the British Association of Waste Management, people who deal with bin collections. It was very, very exciting.
That'd be a good story, Mark.
I was there for my job, but Prince Philip is the patron of it and had to turn up and do a speech at lunch in which he arguably, possibly, allegedly pretended to be very interested in what they did, pay tribute to these people for their part in public service and serving people.
Yes,
and that's what the royals. But that's what the royals do day in, day out, and it does have a knock-on effect, because the rest of them are going to have to pick up some of this, and I think that is a practical effect of this.
But that is the trade-off in the royal family. Is they have to do some really, really dull stuff and shake hands with a lot of people they might not want to, but in return they get a free house and they get lots of transport and they get lots of shiny things to wear. That's the quaint nature of this wonderful country that we live in. And I can understand why, if you were born into that, you might not want to be part of that deal. And I salute them for their courage in trying to opt out, even though it has not been handled very well on either side.
On that, we agree.
Yeah. On that, we move on to Iran. Obviously, so much to talk about here. The ambassador, the plane, apology from the Iranian president today, suggestion that we could see 2 missiles flying, which hit the plane, or the second one did at least. And obviously, we rumble on with the Iran nuclear deal, or, well, we don't.
This particular story, which is about Britain's ambassador to Tehran, apparently large pictures of him being set fire to, clerics saying...
This effigies of...
Yeah, effigies of him. That it would be the best thing possible for him if he were expelled from Iran, veiled threats that things are going to happen to him if he stays. This is worrying. This kind of rhetoric is bandied about in Iran, though. It doesn't necessarily mean we are, on our way to World War III. But it's disappointing. It's disappointing, particularly that Britain's being drawn into this in this way. There's no need to burn effigies of diplomats.
Yeah, and this is the CCTV footage, actually, which identifies what they say is Missile 1 heading towards the aircraft.
It's terrifying, this.
And then disappears, and then Missile 2
Impact.
impacts, yeah, just off. There's Missile 2, same location fired from.
Yeah.
And there we are, impact. So, I mean, it's just truly devastating.
Indeed, but this is the reason why the rulers of Iran are now trying to whip people up and identify and lash out against external evils that they can blame for this. This is what happens with dictatorships every time. Dictatorships are not just wicked, they're also reliably incapable. And what happens is they cause misery and death and suffering on purpose and by accident in equal measure. And what tends to bring dictatorships down is how they fail to actually fulfill their responsibility of any government in delivering normal life. And a misery machine like this, unfortunately, ends up whipping people up against it, at which point it needs to lash out against external threats.
Well, let's go to the FT quickly as well, because the problem, they can't deliver normal life because of sanctions, obviously.
Yes.
This leads us to the fact that these European 3 nations, UK, France, Germany, have effectively pulled the plug on the nuclear deal. Although they could be in a hiatus for some years.
They have called for a hiatus. They're buying time and they had to, because Iran is enriching uranium in a way that it shouldn't be, according to this. This accord is being broken. The terms of this accord is being broken.
They triggered a dispute mechanism, haven't
yes,
they?
which can go on indefinitely. What I think everybody wants is for everyone to get round the table and come up with a new agreement. The thing that people need to remember about Iran, it is a dictatorship. Iranian people are generally very well educated and quite sophisticated, and they can we hope, see through a lot of this kind of stuff. So there is hope for the kind of burning effigies, and there is hope that this can be that this might play against the government.
We must move on. It's got a nice ring to it for some people, anyway. But Brexit supporters might not get their way over the chiming of Big Ben. Talking about that in just a moment.